Not bad.
You're quite skilled.
Shamir, what a rare treat for you to start a conversation for a change.
Is it?
It's not possible you came to ask for my help with something. Could it be you want to become closer friends?
Don't flatter yourself.
That's cruel. You could have at least hesitated a beat before answering.
Last we spoke, you were questioning whether or not you belong here.
You remember that, do you? Well, yes, I do think this is where I belong. For now. I have things that I want to achieve, and I can only do that by staying right where I am. That said, once I've done what I'm here to do, it's hard to say whether I'll stay or leave. I might end up searching for another place to belong.
That is true for most people. Life would be tedious if we knew what lies ahead. Whether or not you belong in a place can change at any time. As soon as you settle in somewhere new, you begin to question your decision.
That's true. I guess trying things out and searching for our own path is what life is about. And both of our paths have led us here. This is where we belong right now. Even if it's just a temporary coincidence, we should cherish it while it lasts.
What are you going on about now?
I'm just saying we should make the most of this time we have together, since we don't know how long it'll last. Once it's gone, it might never come back. Right?
Is this your sad attempt at flirting? I will admit, you're an interesting one.
Is that Professor Manuela? Her voice is every bit as fine as you might expect from the former leader of the Mittelfranc troupe. Oh, if it weren't for her drinking and her woefully inadequate manners, she would fit right in with high society. Wait a minute.
As my mind clings to desperate thoughts, here it comes, Horsebow Moon and Summer's End.
That's my... Oh no. No, no, no!
Oh, Lawrence! I heard you shout. Are you okay?
The poem! My poem! Forget it, I said! I asked you for one thing!
And I told you it would be impossible for me to forget.
Certainly, I understand. But setting it to music, and now singing it?
Oh, yes. It makes for a beautiful song, doesn't it? I'm feeling so lonely and blue. My dearest has left. He has gone far away, and I'm here, all alone. And in my sadness, your poem, well, it became a song for me to sing. It brought me a moment of happiness.
I do not know who spurned you, but I assure you my poem has nothing to do with any such feelings. It is getting late. We should both turn in. I will take my leave now.
Oh, I understand. You're leaving me too. Why? Am I too old to matter?
No, I never said any such thing. Why, I am sure there are plenty of men who would prefer a mature woman such as yourself.
Mature, he says. I knew it. You're all the same, you know. No one sees the person behind the voice. They just see me older today than yesterday. They say, "Oh, look what happened to her." Nobody sees my frustration, my resignation to be forever alone. But you do. It's all right there in your poem.
Please, I assure you, my poem was not about that at all. It was actually about the ideal of nobility. The sentiment is that someday I know I will get what I want. There is no resignation in it, as you seem to be suggesting.
Lawrence. I was sure the poem was more about someone lamenting their frailty and the loneliness of time's passing. But that's not it at all, is it? This is the story of someone impatient to get ahead, who is afraid they'll never make it.
The speaker in the poem does lament his shortcomings. The road to reach his ideal is long. It is a trial, a test. If he can just find his way through it, he knows he can move forward. So I think you should try to move forward too. Because with a voice as talented as yours, How could you possibly fail?
Lawrence, someday you should let me sing this song in public. I think people who are battling through their own trials, they might find comfort in this. And I believe I'm the only one who can do your work justice.
Very well. You have my assent. On the condition that you do not attach my name to it. Now, permit me to retire for the night. I require ample rest to maintain an adequate level of polish, you know. I suppose, if my poem must be set to music, then it had best be done by such a talented singer.
Nothing here.
What are you doing?
Oh, Flayn! I've just been researching the exploits of Saint Cethlean.
And why is it you're doing that precisely?
Well, painting is a hobby of mine, and I thought I might like to capture her likeness.
Well, how lovely. But how is researching her exploits necessary for painting?
If I wanted to use a statue of Saint Cethlean for my reference, it wouldn't be necessary. But that's not what I want. I wish to paint Saint Cethlean herself, looking exactly as she did when she was alive. And if I don't know anything about who she was on the inside, the image won't be true to life. So I wanted to find some hints about who she was, and that's why I've been researching her deeds.
Ah, so you were hoping to find out what type of girl she was.
Girl? Interesting way of putting it, but yes, more or less.
I see. Yes, it is all quite clear to me now.
What's happening?
Okay then. Allow me to share with you what I know of Cethleen's deeds. Long ago, in a world ravaged by war, Cethleen led a secluded life with her father, Keyhole. One day, they met Saint Zeros, who was grieved by the chaos and destruction of war. And so, the three decided to join forces.
Huh? But I thought the saints gathered following a revelation from the goddess.
At the Battle of Teal'tine, they fought against the 10 elites led by Nemesis, who sought to conquer the whole world. Cethleen tended to her allies on the field of battle, until she exhausted all her strength. Then, she fell into a long slumber.
But according to legend, she used her miraculous powers to heal all of the wounded.
Interesting story, is it not? Have you perhaps learned something new about Cethleen?
Having heard all that, I'd say she seems incredible.
Incredible? Well, I haven't heard that before. I feel certain you and I will be fast friends. Let us talk again soon.
Huh. Who knew Flayn was such an expert on Cethleen?
Professor Hanneman, is this a good spot for this book?
That will do nicely, Lysithea. I'm sorry to trouble you with these chores.
It's no trouble. After all, it's proper etiquette for the young to help the elderly.
The elderly? I'm only... Never mind. How have you been feeling of late? Anything worth mentioning?
I've been feeling well enough, all things considered.
You seem to be maturing remarkably. No doubt your well-being is due to the positive influence of your twin crests working in tandem.
Here he goes with the positive again. Looks like your research is more useless than I thought.
I may ignore your assaults on my age, but I will not allow unfettered attacks upon my research. What makes you think it's lacking? Surely you do not deny that your crest-related abilities exceed those of your peers. You are so far ahead of the others. Even the combined effects of the twin crests you bear do not fully account for that discrepancy.
You just can't see beyond the crest, can you? In all your research, haven't you considered that my abilities are a direct result of the effort I put in?
Of course, I am aware that you are a hardworking student, but...
My efforts far exceed those of any other student. I've placed top priority on growing as quickly as possible.
Is the ability to expend such incredible efforts, to be so focused and driven, is that not a form of talent?
It to do with talent. It's a question of sheer will. I'm determined to succeed, no matter the sacrifice.
I see. But what drives you to such lengths?
I have goals, just like anyone, and precious little time in which to achieve them.
Little time?
The people who made me as I am informed me that my life would be drastically shortened as a result. A person bearing 2 crests against the will of nature itself. Well, clearly it can't be sustainable. As such, I don't indulge in the luxury of fantasizing about the future. I haven't got one. Knowing all this now, will you still claim that my crests are something positive?
I cannot. Please understand. I had no idea.
I'll be leaving now.
Lysithea. So that is why you were...
Professor Henneman, you wanted to speak with me?
Miss Marianne, hello. Do pardon the mess. Please have a seat.
Of course.
I have been puzzling over why your father would wish to conceal your crest. And I have arrived at a conclusion. Would you like to hear it?
No, I would rather not.
Ah, fair enough. Then I will keep it to myself. However, if my theory is correct, well, then it is only natural for you and your father to try keeping your crest a secret. That said, I feel I would be remiss if I didn't point out that I consider this decision a most grievous error.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Crests never manifest in someone unfit to bear them. Which means, Miss Marianne, you have the ability to make the most of your crest, because it is, by definition, your crest.
I have no desire to make use of my crest.
But it can be of service to you, and I would venture to suggest, to the world at large.
Ever since I was born, that crest has been nothing but a burden to me. My parents, too.
Ah, that's right. I have heard that you were adopted. Did one of your birth parents also have that crest?
Yes. It was my father.
Then that crest is evidence that you are your true father's daughter. Concealing it, hiding that truth from the world, is denying your true parentage, is it not?
I don't...
I'm not suggesting you flaunt your crest. That would be highly unnecessary, possibly even dangerous. I simply wish you to accept who you are.
accept it?
Accept the crest and allow its power to come forward. Then it will open itself to you. Whatever the crest may be, whatever its origin or its nature, it can serve you. It is yours to command, however you wish.
Mine?
Nobody can decide how to use your crest, Miss Marianne. That choice is yours alone.
I will think about that.
Hey, Professor, got a minute? Look, I'm sorry I snapped at you. I didn't mean to lose my temper. I was rude to you. I should have known better. Huh, I thought you might say that. In that way, you're just like Captain Gerald. You accept other people. You don't let petty details get under your skin. Well, when I was a kid, I kind of latched onto him. I've been calling myself his apprentice ever since. He spent some time in the village I grew up in. Actually, you weren't with him back then. Why not? Huh. Maybe he left you with a relative or something. Anyway, back then, Gerald's job was to deal with poachers. Well, they were bandits, but we called them poachers.
Nobody in the village could stand up to them. But your dad, he took them on like it was nothing. I was so impressed. All I could think was how amazing mercenaries were. I'd lived in that tiny village my whole life, so to me, Captain Gerald was nothing short of a legend. So I went right up to him and I told him I was going to be his apprentice. He didn't stick around long after that, but he did teach me a lot while he was with us. Tactics, strategy, training routines, it was all so new and exciting. So after he left, I kept at it, kept training, just like he taught me. Me too. I always planned to meet him again once I became a top-tier mercenary. But I'm just glad I got to see him, to thank him properly and all. I've spent my whole life working to become a great mercenary like your father. There were so many times when I wanted to ask his advice, but I couldn't. I just had to make do. That's how I've made it this far. Just hard work, all on my own. But then you come along. And it's like you don't appreciate Captain Gerald at all, or how lucky you were to have him around your whole life. Oh, it still really bothers me. You might be his kid, but I'm still his best apprentice. Got it? Alois, I was hoping you could tell me some more stories about Captain Gerald.
You'd like to hear about Gerald's adventures? You seem quite taken with these stories, Leonie.
Can't hurt, can it? All our work for the day is done. So remind me, how did you meet him?
It all feels like ancient history now. You see, the captain was visiting the kingdom of Fargus.
Uh-huh. Go on.
His previous squire had died from a ghastly plague. Then one day, he came upon me and appointed me his new squire.
At that age, you must have had some real talent and courage to stand out as a future knight.
Oh, no, it wasn't that. I was just an orphan boy living in the monastery. I was a timid little thing.
Really? He didn't choose you for your bravery? What made him choose you then?
My face looked like the dead boys.
What? That's it?
Well, I asked the captain, and that was the only answer he gave me.
Abrasive to the last. That's Captain Gerald for you.
Yes. In those early days, I would sometimes wonder whether he was right in the head. When I saw him on the battlefield, though, those concerns were laid to rest. Anyway, I think I hear your professor has been looking for you. You'd better scram.
Oh no, you're right. I better go. See you around.
Hey, Teach, do you believe in gods? I don't necessarily mean the goddess of the Saros religion, just gods in general. Do you believe that incredible beings who control the fates of all really exist? Yeah, I didn't think so. I never used to believe in that sort of thing either. I've always hated the idea of praying to a god. After all, you can only really rely on yourself. I still believe that. You can't win a war by leaving your fate in the hands of a god. Only tangible facts can really decide a war. Which side has the most troops, the best tactics, the better organization and planning. Of course, miracles can happen, and by that I mean things that are completely outside of your control. Things that only seem to add up if you believe in the concept of fate. Things like, well, like meeting you, for example. You just seem sort of impossible. I think everyone would agree with that. You can wield the sword of the Creator, you're a tactical genius, and you have this strange ability to earn the trust of anyone you cross paths with. Before I met you, I never imagined that it was possible for someone like you to exist. And yet, now that I know you, your presence in my life has quickly become invaluable. In fact, it's hard to imagine making my dreams come true without your help. Because of that, I can't believe for a second that our meeting was just a coincidence. That means it must have been fate. Maybe it was a miracle, or maybe some god empathized with me in my dreams. Again, I don't mean the goddess of Fodlan, though I suppose it may be hard for you to grasp what I'm talking about. People all over the world have different ideas about who or what the gods are, right? even in distant lands across the ocean or over the mountains. They have gods who see the world as a whole, who don't care about Fodlan's borders, who don't meddle in our affairs, who don't grant life or take it away. And maybe, sometimes, they'll make a miracle happen. A god like that, that's the sort of god I think I could believe in. Careful, Teach. You'll anger the followers of Seros if you say things like that. I'm just speaking my mind, that's all. I think people should be free to believe in whatever gods they want. If a person believes in a god and that god becomes a support system for them, that's a good thing. That's what a god should be. Anyway, maybe I've overstepped a bit. I knew you'd understand. In any case, let's keep this conversation between the two of us, yeah?